you pointed out, looked way more comfortable in that match with the druid than he has ever done before, as we've seen him today. So he's going to have to go back to these decks that he clearly feels a little bit more awkward with and try and find himself a win. Shaxy, on the other hand, looks very comfortable with druid as he's drawn himself a big old pile of ramp in every game, well, both of the games that we've seen so far.
Now, in your opinion, would you think mid-range shaman or Zoo is more favored against the druid deck?
It's a tough question. Zoo can definitely get on the board and explode earlier. Mid-range shaman has more of an ability to stay with the druid throughout the game. But I think if druid gets hold of a spell damage swipe in either of the matchups, that's just kind of game ending. There's just no real way back from that. The yoggless builds are a little bit weaker against mid-range shaman as well because they don't have access to that extra board clear. Quite often you need to clear the board 2 or 3 times against shaman, whereas against Zoo you only need to do it once if you get a swingy enough turn with it. So I think the shaman a little bit better equipped to go longer against the druid, but yeah, spell damage swipe, huge deal if you can get hold of that.
All right, I was just curious because I'm kind of wondering if Gogongsing is going to just try to avoid that Zoo deck again until he absolutely has to use it. Seems like he's a little bit uncomfortable playing it just because he hasn't gotten that win yet. He hasn't necessarily done anything wrong on it. It's just one of those things where, like, when you lose enough with a deck, you may want to stay away from it. Meanwhile, though, we did see the turn 1 Violet Teacher come out and swipe follow up, and this could just be a really bad game for Gogongsing.
Yeah, oh, okay. I was going to say, there is 2 cards in his deck that he needs to draw. 1 card with 2 copies, and it's specifically Hex, because now he can follow that up with Maelstrom Portal on a following turn to clear the board. Shaxy has run out of initiative in his hand after making that big push. And Gogongsing, right at the perfect time, picked up the Hex. Now the second one as well, a little bit superfluous to requirements, but this gives him the turn that he needs to now grip control of the board. And what was looking like a huge mess is now looking like Gogongsing is in with a chance.
Yeah, had to get that Hex when he did, was able to pull it out, and we're going to see now kind of a long time probably until Shaxy really does much of anything, unless he can kind of, you know, get something like a Nourish to draw a bunch of cards, but
I'm not sure about this Wrath cycle on the 1/1 there. There's nothing that he would draw for 3 mana that I can see him playing in this situation. So I think myself I would have committed to the Wrath Hero power on the Totem, because the Totem is the thing that can be healed up by Healing Totem. It's actually, it's a huge threat in terms of just Spirit Claws, buffing it up and so on. So I think there's maybe a small sequencing error there in terms of the minion that he chose to target, but does have the mulch available to him for the huge threat of the Thunderbluff Valiant, and no harm done as he does get to clear up the spell damage totem this turn.
Yeah, when he just jammed down the Thunderbluff Valiant, I wasn't necessarily sure I liked that one either.
Oh, it's so good against Druid, though. Like,
just putting it down?
Yeah, Druid cannot deal 6 damage. It's literally mulch or lose in that kind of situation. He had the mulch here, but again, like, trying not to be results-oriented, percentage-wise, it's such a good play so often.
You don't think that there was any merit to just trying to go wide, get the Mana Tide totem down, just make more totems, and then maybe follow up on 7 when your board is just full of totems where you get the immediate value from the Valiant?
There is merit to it, but if you then look at that the other way around, he plays his Thunderbluff down, he expects it to stick, because most of the time it does, and then on the following turn he can buff his Mana Tide, his Flame Tongue, he can get them on the board and actually make them attacking threats straight away.
Okay, yeah. No, that makes sense when you definitely put it that way. Picks the Raven Idol off the Raven Idol. The Inception noise, the brrr plays. We go level deeper, and
There's value to it, particularly when you have Arcane Giant in your hand, though. Just that consistent 1-mana spell cycle, constantly making your Arcane Giant cheaper, is such a big deal. So with no great options available, he does pick himself up some swipes as well. So now, if a Drake is drawn, or I'm not sure if he is running the Blood Mage Thanos, so he is indeed running Blood Mage Thanos. So Blood Mage or Azure Drake will be his 2 biggest draws now. You can see the devastating effect that Spell Damage Swipe would have on this board.
Spell damage swipe, or, you know, even potentially just double swipe.
Giant as well. I completely missed the fact that the Giant being taken down to 2 by that Raven Idol means that he has the blowout turn here. It's not a complete clear, but he does isolate the Flame Tongue Totem. And yeah, that is a suitably huge turn.
It is, unless there's a second Hex.
But now, that is both of the Hexes out of the game. And your hand is Druid of the Claw, Ancient of War, Ragnaros. That is a big old pile of minions.
There's a 4th card.
There is. That's true. I have a blind spot where Yogg-Saron is concerned. I'm trying to blank that out.
It's even gold.
It is,
it's really pretty. But yeah, the swipes being...
Rob, I'm questioning your taste in partners right now. If you go, yogg-token is really pretty.
Is that what
we're going with? Okay, all right.
I mean,
fine.
there's a lot of eye mouths. I guess that...
Eye mouths?
I don't... It's a weird... Yogg-token's a weird creature.
Face holes, I think, is the technical term.
I feel like we're going down a road that doesn't yield any kind of positive results.
sure.
So let's just dial it back.
Okay.
The ball... Can't even talk now. The board... the board is wide. So this will make it really difficult for the Druid to do it, especially with those swipes now gone. So right now, I have to feel like Gogongsing is like, I think I'm okay, and unless I see that yogg-token come down.
Yeah, it's a very good point, and that really is the danger of the double swipe turn that was used, is that he does now give up the potential of a spell damage swipe turn if he was to pick it up. We haven't seen it yet. Remember, one of those swipes, I believe, was from Raven Idol, so he does still have a natural swipe left in the deck, but he is going to go for the yogg-token, and I would have bet my house on that explosive shot targeting the yogg-token, but he gets away with it for now.
Now this one actually, the first yogg-token of the Last Call Invitational series doing work. Not even... This is just straight up like, oh, I'm sorry for all the other ones.
Yep. Backstab hits the only good target. There were 4 bad targets and 1 good one, and it picks the correct option from ahqShaxy's position. Is that 4 secrets that were played, board generated, opponent's board weakened, dealt some damage to face. That's a good yogg.
Sound like you're talking to a pet, like, that's a good yogg. Just like pat it on the face.
It is a good yogg.
Oh, you're a good yogg. All right, well, let's see what Barnes can do against a very, very unsuitable situation. And yeah, that's it's not great. Now, Gogongsing's still at 22 health, so things aren't necessarily as bad, as they could be. Going to have to... Ooh. Oh, no, it's a cat.
It's a cat.
It's a cat.
Yep, so Competitive Spirit, I believe, is the Paladin's secret. The Mage was Vaporize.
Yep.
So anything that gets Vaporized here is a decent target, at least. He's going to go and commit with the Fire Ellie here, so that is going to activate Ice Barrier and Vaporize, I believe, if we've remembered this correctly. So he is going to lose a high-value minion to the Vape. And
we get it. He vaporizes.
6-1 going to trade here with the 9-3. He's going to hold on to his taunt. So I think he actually made the correct attack to play around Vaporize. As weird as it looks like he lost his highest value minion, but he wanted to make the 6-1 trade on the board, and he wants to retain his taunt minion. So the Fire Ellie is the one that he could afford to give up to the secret.
All right. Well, even doing work that he did, thinning the board, ahqShaxy's still in a really good spot, has Ragnaros, has the Druid of the Claw, has some removal in the form of those roots, and going to go ahead and start drawing a card.
This is a little surprising to me, I have to admit. I think I personally wouldn't have minded to see the double Living Roots and the Ragnaros come out that turn.
Yeah.
Clear out the taunt with the trade that you have on the board. Just Living Roots the 2 1/1s, as weird and low value as that seems, and then just slam your Rag on the board. If it hits face, great. If it clears the 3/4, even better.
Well, I think at this point, drawing the card was less important than using the tools you had in your hand to go ahead and just tame the board again, because the Shaman's out of cards. Shaman's not going to draw a Nourish to get back into it, so...
As Drake into Manatide Totem is kind of like Nourish.
That's still not a Nourish. I'm still not technically wrong.
All right, fair enough.
All right. Technically right is my favorite right.
Building a career on formalities. Robert Wing, 2016.
It's Robert A. Wing. Okay,
sorry,
thank you.
My bad. I'm just trying to invent campaign slogans for you as we move along.
No, I told you that's trades you can trades you can believe in.
That's something like that. Yeah. Spirit Claw's picked up, but off the Manatide cycle, so no chance to use it here. And ahqShaxy, Rob the Prophet, just calling it for the wrong side, does draw the Nourish on this turn, but again, it looks like a solid Ragnaros turn to me. After the trades happen, there will be 3 solid targets on the board for a Ragnaros. Yep, get it done.
Yeah, I think Ragnaros here definitely just the play. You could start with the Raven Idol if you wanted to. I guess just Hero Power.
He's just going to use the Hero Power, which is an interesting decision. I guess he still has Fandral remaining in his deck that he can pair with the Raven Idol or Living Roots as he sees fit, especially if he's casting Nourish next turn. That mana usage works out perfectly if he picks up the Fandral. So trying to save his cards for a little bit of extra value, push the extra 1, gain the 1 life. Definitely nothing wrong with that line, but as I said, if he could find a good spot for Ragnaros, it's why I was such a big fan of it last turn. If he could just find a good spot for Ragnaros, both hexes are gone. So how does this get answered at this point by the Shaman?
Yeah, I don't think it does. Ragnaros helping Barnes exit stage right, so he's gone, and Ragnaros is just going to sit there, continuing to just throw out damage to your point. There's no way to deal with it for the Shaman that, I mean, maybe you get enough things on the board, maybe the second Valiant comes out, but otherwise, I mean, how do you actually deal with that?
It's tough, for sure. It would have to be some kind of spell damage trick. You'd need spell damage, plus a Spirit Claws, plus an AoE or a Lightning Bolt or something else. And even then, you'd probably end up face tanking 8 damage by attacking into it. So now with the Arcane Giant edition and the Violet Teacher, there are 3 of the biggest threats in the deck that Gogongsing has no way of dealing with, and he is just going to face tack into the Ragnaros, give it up. Shaxy, the untested tournament player, has